welcome back. Let's now have a look at another aspect of the economy of Pompeii as it's revealed to us in the source material. And we're always thinking about source material as we look at Pompeii, and we're always thinking about the limitations on the information we can get from the source material. So let's have a go at this one. The next part of the economy I'd like to point you towards is looking at, we know from the sources that there's a metalworking industry and a pottery industry. Now let's look at what is revealed in Pompeii by artifacts. Firstly, we have metal artifacts found all over Pompeii. Now, in the top section of this slide, you can see that artifacts include hammers, chisels, compasses, calipers, bronze pens, inkwells, surgical instruments, pots, jugs, scales for weighing things, and surveying equipment. Now that's pretty important because it gives a lot of information about the type of occupations that are present in Pompeii. And remember, many of these occupations are done by slaves. There's also ornamental items, including miniature altars, statuettes of gods, and we'll have a look at some of those in a slide shortly to get a sense of what they look like. Again, often made of bronze. Then we have eating and drinking utensils, such as spoons, egg cups, drinking cups, plates of silver, and these are often found in some of the larger homes, some of the wealthier homes. Now, across Pompeii, there are also 12 metalworking shops that have been found, plus possibly a few more that we're a little bit uncertain about. In all of these metalworking shops, there are specialized tools, equipment for working with metal, molds into which molten metal is poured to make these items, casts into which they are formed and then opened up, and other worked materials. Metal that's perhaps not quite finished, metal that has been smelted and has been left to cool and is incomplete, hammered bits of material, the waste metal, the kind of things you would find lying around in a metalworking shop, a factory floor if you like. We also have shop signs, inscriptions that tell us these are metalworking shops. So we've got the inscriptions, we've got quite a lot of sources here. In the house of Vetti, there is actually wall paintings showing how metalworking is done. There's a metalworking scene. So we've got a really good idea of what's going on there. And in one of the coppersmith's shops, there is a relief carving. Okay, so it's basically a flat surface with carving, almost like two-dimensional statues carved into it. Okay, a relief carving showing workers and their products in that coppersmith's workplace. We also need to be aware that pottery from Pompeii is also found in huge numbers. We know pottery is a really major industry. Now, it's interesting that we also have studies of the clays and soils help us out here, not just archaeology. The clay that comes from the Pompeii region is red, and it's very, very distinctive. It shows the volcanic origins of the clays and the soils of that area all coming around Vesuvius. Now it's interesting to see that this Pompeii clay turns up in pottery all over what was the Roman Empire. It's as far away as Britain, North Africa. It's throughout Italy. It's in Rome. It's in Greece. So we know that the clay from Pompeii is basically exported. It's sent out through ports to other parts of the Roman Empire. It was a large, thriving trade based in that city. Some of the large potter workshops have been found, including their kilns, and you're probably familiar with what a kiln is from your art classes in the lower school. Paintings show potters at work in those workshops, and another thing of interest is some of these pottery workshops actually put the family name that owns them into the pottery itself, so we can actually identify which pottery firm makes the pots. So we've got some really amazing source material here. Let's now have a look at what this actually looked like. Since we've been talking about pottery, let's start on the top right. What you're looking at there is a collection of pottery that was unfinished in Pompeii. In the middle, in a cabinet there, we also have the plaster cast of a dog that was trapped in Pompeii. And we'll look at these plaster casts in a different time. Notice with the pottery, the red tonings that come through. A lot of you will be used to that idea of terracotta pots that you see in garden shops and around Brisbane in the suburbs now. But this is unfinished pottery that has been preserved, and we have thousands and thousands of pieces of pottery. Look now at the design of silver spoons. These are evidence of the metalwork that's going on within Pompeii. Lastly, running across the bottom are statuettes of various gods and dancers from the metalwork, the bronze factories of Pompeii. So very, very much worth being aware of these miniature statuettes that are found. They are exquisite, they're very finely detailed, evidence of a thriving industry.